What is it doing?
Right.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. I'm having internet problems. Thanks to
What is
say.
it doing?
Thank you, guys.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I have.
Sorry, guys.
How
Having internet problems. Thanks to say.
how can it do that?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, JDO. You guys see this, and those that'll pop in later. I'm just going to tell you, the echo will go away now. I was checking on monitor. Ukraine's getting a little bit discouraged. Shouldn't be an open mic now. That should go away. I'll just give it another second here. Let me know. JDO, also, did the video line up with the... am I a Japanese 1940s film still? If you don't mind letting me know that as well. Man, this is very important. I think, I'm going to come back to this one. That was so bad. Unsweetened tea. Thank you, Chuck. It's just frustrating. Still not in sync. All right to say thank you. Honestly, I just don't know how to fix it. So, you guys know I try to put out excellence. Still out of sync, but leave it for tonight, sir. Thank you, Mark. So here's the deal, and I'll revisit this on Wednesday. The truth, this was from an analyst, the truth is occupied regions are fortified regions, referring to the Russians. To understand the situation of the front, when you open the map, look at the battles and look at the movement. After a... Igor, привет, дорогой. Привет, vid Ukrainca. Slava Ukraina, Igor. So, after a short analysis, what do the 99 borders actually mean? And this was the analyst. Going to the borders of Ukraine will definitely ensure the end of the war and security for Ukraine? Question mark. With what forces and in what ways do we get there? How many people are ready to sacrifice for this purpose? Nobody can tell you about this since it is important for the government of Ukraine to save the lives of people. What kind of large-scale counterattack can we talk about again? Apparently, over the course of the summer, our great soldiers managed to liberate approximately 250 square kilometers of our territory, and we're happy about that at great cost. No one can tell how many soldiers died and were wounded during the summer counteroffensive. More than 108,000 square kilometers need to be liberated just to get to Crimea and to take Crimea. What of Bakhmut, and Avdiivka, and other cities? You would put Kupiansk in there right now. Hot battle there. And yes, Ukraine making good movements. Igor, muy тоже с вами, брат. До перемоги. До перемоги, дорогой. We have some Ukrainian viewers in here tonight, so I am speaking to them. So this is where we're at. And we don't need to jump in it anymore, but there's just some questions out there. Guys, you may or may not have heard of this, but tonight, Zelensky's administrator. What area was the 128th covering? The 128th was in the Zaporizhia region. That's all I can say. I don't want to give out that location. It's a tragedy. So in the Zaporizhia region. So, guys, I don't know if you've heard about this or not. I'm sure some of you have, but Zaluzhny's administrator, who's military, was killed tonight. And he was killed at his birthday party in his home in the Kyiv region. And this is actually a photo from his home. This is a photo. You can see the shrapnel damage over on the right. He opened a gift that was given to him by another military person and came home and opened it. Opened the grenade, or opened the package. A grenade was in there. Ah, Igor. Sesha. Super. And it exploded. The first stories that were coming out were, well, he was showing it to his son, and they pulled the pin, and the grenade went off. And that story couldn't stay there very long. Zaluzhny has since come out and says he was killed. Instantly, we knew it. Come on, guys. Nobody's going to have a birthday party. You get a gift of grenades. You're sitting at home with your wife and your children. You open the box and then you start analyzing and looking at the grenades and you pull the pin. No. None of that. No. This guy was killed. And Ukraine didn't want to acknowledge it at first. But now they have acknowledged it. Zaluzhny himself acknowledged it, that this was murder. We'll see what unfolds from it, but I'm just telling you, that's what happened. I mean, that picture is right from his home. That's a real photo there. So it's terrible. You remember all of the rumors that Vladimir Putin was dead? He had a heart attack. He died. He's gone. Da 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 da. And I told you he's not dead. And don't follow Twitter for advice on Putin's life. And don't follow Twitter really for anything unless you have discovered it to be a reputable source. Find people you trust. Find people that are connected to Ukraine, not some dork sitting in his mother's basement eating Doritos. Do not follow those people. So here is the story released now from the intelligence. JDO. I'm coming back to that comment. Here's the story released from the intelligence of Ukraine, their top intelligence officer. He said, quote, all the rumors of Putin dying and Putin being dead are games of the Kremlin. They are games of the propaganda. And what the Russians are doing is they begin to analyze who's sharing the story, who's telling the story, how is the information being disseminated so that they can further have attacks through networks and infrastructures. He says, these stories come out about Vladimir Putin and then the world runs with it. And they are watching everything. Stop underestimating the power of the Russian propaganda. So that's the story on Putin's death. Guys, if Vladimir Putin dies, I promise you we will know. And it will not be off of Twitter. It will not be a rumor. It will not be, oh, I think he had, it's his third whatever. No, we'll know. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, just use your mind. Use your mind. What happened to the cancer box? What happened to the quivers in the right hand? What happened to doctors traveling with him? The man is running crazy right now with the schedule. And I don't want to hear about the doubles and the triples. I'm telling you, this is all a part of the game. Do not fall for the propaganda. They want you to think there's 20 Putins out there. Don't fall for it. Does he have a double? I don't know. And neither does anybody else other than them. But I can tell you, you're seeing Vladimir Putin, and he's healthy, and he's alive. It's powerful. They control the narrative, guys. Don't fall for it. JDO, coming back to you. Didn't a similar thing happen? The Russian media person opened a gift at an event in a restaurant a year or so ago. Yes, it did. I think, where did that happen at? I can't remember. I think it was Moscow, actually. Yeah, it was Moscow. Yes, opened a gift and boom. Zaluzhny's assistant did not activate a grenade at his birthday party with his family sitting there. Come on, guys. Use your noodle. Didn't happen. Russia's Putin to stay in power past 2024, like Reuters put that out as breaking news. Come on. He's not going anywhere. So when he wins the 2024 election, by the way, just in case you guys were wondering, that means he will be in office until 2030. St. Petersburg, that's what it was. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, he's officially running, so he's already won. St. Petersburg, thank you, Carl. So he's in office 2030. Now, sanctions are working great. I can tell you right now that Ukraine put out information today showing that Russia has more missiles in stock than they had 30 days ago. You remember we've been talking about how it's kind of been quiet for about 3 weeks on the missile front, and Ukraine is saying, listen, they're not out of missiles, they're just really waiting for it to get a little bit colder, and they're coming after our infrastructure. Well, last night they were hitting Odessa very, very, very hard. They're hitting Kharkiv harder. They're hitting Sumy. They're hitting Chernigiv. They are hitting these places. But now, I mean, Ukraine's got the information. They are creating missiles now, manufacturing them faster than they are using them. Do not believe anything else you hear. Don't believe the person out there that says they've only got 9 missiles left. Oh, they've only got 11 of those. Don't believe any of that. This is the fact. This is what Ukraine is facing. And this is why Ukraine needs support. This is why we can't quit. This is why America, Europe, the world needs to stand with Ukraine and not fall for this mess. This is the long game. And I think I saw in your chat, guys, some of you guys in there chatting early on the first stream before we lost that one, that the war of attrition, wars are long. Well, this is a war. This is not a skirmish. This is not a regional battle, as we shared earlier. This is a war, and the world is not figuring that out. So sanctions don't work, as we talked about. Igor, good night to you. Yes, 88 degrees in Oklahoma City today. It was very hot. Putin will remain in command as long as Fidel Castro was forever, Ted Morris. That is 100% correct. Dmitry Kuleba came out today and says, we are preparing for winter. We are stocking supplies. Regardless, we already know that the Russians' tactics are changing, and we are expecting a brutal winter. Dmitry Kuleba. That was his statement. That's the article actually in German. In Germany, they're on Welt, or Welt, as I think they would call it. This is why I wait to go in winter. Right after Christmas, I'll be there for the hardest time. I don't want to go when it's the easiest time. I want to go when it's the hardest time to be able to help Ukraine on all fronts. Zelensky invited Trump to visit Ukraine, and Trump has declined it. The reason he declined it was he says, I'm not the president. Biden's the president. It's his administration. And, we'll get to that. Zelensky was inviting him. Why? Because he wanted to share with him that it was Zelensky's opinion that, although Donald Trump means well, that if he could get Ukraine, and Zelensky said, if you can come here and I can show you what Russia is really doing, you'll change your opinion on ending the war in 24 hours, or you'll change your opinion on us giving our territory away. Just come visit me and let me share with you personally. But Trump sent him a nice reply saying, sorry, I can't come. So we'll see. That's where we're at on that. And yeah, King Raccoon, you're right. Germany's given a lot. Now I want to jump to Israel for a moment, as we know it's all connected. You guys know, you're watching all this too. So Israel has basically surrounded Gaza City. Now the other thing I want to tell you guys about Wednesday night stream and potentially Friday night stream. So I'm here at an international conference. There are 56 nations represented. Everybody's been arriving. I came in last night, but I'm working here at this conference. I have responsibilities for speaking and doing things, but there's 56 nations here. There are Ukrainians here. There are Israelis here. Israelis, not Palestinians. There are Ukrainians and Russians here that live in Israel. They're really wanting to come on here and talk to you. So we're going to see if we can pull that off. It would be unbelievably interesting. So, I'm here with all these guys now. Going to be interesting. So, on the Israel front, the Israeli troops have surrounded Gaza City. Of course, they have the C, the Med right there, and then the blue represents all we can do is wait and see. We know what's going on. We know the opinions of the world. We know the unbelievable evil that is spray painting the White House gate, and is allowed to do so. The protests all throughout the world that are just evil. We'll see, but this is where we're at. I can tell you tonight, I'm sure some of you watched it, Benjamin Netanyahu on and says, forget it. We're not stopping until every Hamas is eliminated in Gaza. And then he said, I'm sure some of you saw this. Then he said, by the way, when this is over, the Palestinian state will not provide security for Gaza. Israel will, until we choose to stop. Very important, those words. Pay attention to. Blinken was on his tour, visiting Iraq, He actually went and met with Abbas in the West Bank there. He then went to Iraq, Baghdad. Then after that, the Iraqi went to Iran, probably to share Blinken's message. But the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, during his meeting with the prime minister of Iraq, the U.S. directly quoted saying, the U.S. directly intervenes in the management of aggression in Gaza. Iran and Iraq together can increase the pressure on the U.S. to stop the aggression. So we know. And like we talk about even, with Ukraine, we just have to wait and see. I can tell you this, and this is interesting. You may or may not know this. I got this out of IDF today. A special task force in the Mossad, which is basically like the British MI6 or CIA for the United States, or the old KGB, which is the SBU in Ukraine. A special task force in the Mossad is now working on finding and killing the Hamas leadership that is abroad. This is similar to what we did to the Nazis and their collaborators, as well as to the perpetrators of the 1972 Munich Olympic Games massacre. Guys, if Mossad starts, and they can, they're unbelievably good, but if they go to like Doha, Qatar, and kill that guy that's one of the leaders of Hamas that's worth $5 billion, I played a video of him about a week ago. What on earth is going to happen? And I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying let's not be naive about this. The United States is spiraling out of control due to the incompetence in Washington, D.C. We have a corrupt president who doesn't even remember where he's at. His son is a criminal. We could not elect a Speaker of the House. Nobody loves America more than me. You're equal with me if you're an American in here watching. A lot of you are our warriors and our heroes and our veterans, and I'm so thankful for you, but facts are facts. This hotel here is not even functioning properly. We had a meeting tonight because they don't even have enough people to come to work. And listen, guys, this is a nice hotel. You can see what my internet is. We have a mess, and the world is taking advantage of zero leadership in Washington, D.C. Zero. And the former president is on trial, and he's having to deal with legal issues. Our vice president, I mean, it's just our vice president. Actually, there's not even words to say anything. Our vice president is irrelevant, being kind, and the world is taking advantage of this. So if Mossad starts, let's say they go to Qatar, and really, I mean, I got this from IDF today. They go to Qatar and they pop somebody. What is going to happen? Because Qatar hates Israel. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Ali Baraka, Hamas, reports on daily contacts with Moscow. And you know Hamas was just in Moscow. Hamas is now going to Beijing to meet with China. Quote, the U.S. adversaries are getting closer, meaning our ships is what he's referring to. We just sent a nuclear submarine there. We've got a lot of equipment in the Med and in the Persian Gulf right now. The U.S. adversaries are getting closer. We maintain daily, listen to this. We maintain daily contacts with Russia, China, and we have sent a delegation to Doha. You may be here tonight and say, okay, I've heard of Doha, but where's that at? That's Qatar. That's where one of the Hamas leaders is. Can just listen to that quote again? The U.S. adversaries are getting closer. We maintain daily contacts with Russia, China, and we sent a delegation to Doha. And you know they're in, we haven't even mentioned Iran there. It's all Iran. Baraka also praised Kim Jong-un's decision to support Hamas. He emphasized that unlike Iranian missiles, which means we're using Iranian missiles, North Korean missiles are capable of reaching U.S. territory. Well, there he's misinformed because they can't even get it 100 kilometers out to sea. But regardless, you see, I think back to 9/11, and I remember George Bush making that speech and talking about the axis of evil. And at that time, he was referring to Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. But folks, we really do see an axis of evil. These Iranian proxy groups such as Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, rogue nations like Yemen, Iran, North Korea, and then the power nations of Russia and China, and then the nations that are on the fence, 1 foot in NATO, 1 foot on the opposite side, Turkey. It's really interesting. So don't try to project. We just see what unfolds. It's tough. And finally, do not forget China. A lot of you guys, I remember in the chat, you called it. We've talked about it, that Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Hamas, which could break out even regional or global. And now the military activity around Taiwan. This was out today. The United States around in the China Sea around Taiwan has the Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group and the Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group. The Chinese have the Shandong and the Surface Action Group. And it's all surrounding Taiwan. So, you know, and I'm going to close it out tonight and I'm going to go work on the internet. But you think, let's just think this way. Prior to February 24th, 2022, up until the moment the first missile fired, Zheng and I, you know, best friends for 25 years, we were watching the Russians build up and said, hey, there's no way they're coming across that border. There's no way they would invade Ukraine. They're just flexing. They're just flexing. And then that war broke. That second, third phase of the war broke out. And the world changed. And then we woke up October the 7th to news that Hamas was running crazy in Israel. And we were all shocked. How could that even happen? And now we see the United States pushing so much into that Middle East. Today we get this update of all the activity around Taiwan. Do not think that China will not go after Taiwan, because that would be an illogical assumption after what we've seen Russia do in Ukraine, the Israel and Hamas, and Israel and Iran. Don't think it's not possible. We're inching closer every day. And the other thing is, you know, put on top of that, it's just very interesting how Netanyahu got back into power. And you guys, you know, you may like him, you may not like him, and we're all entitled to that opinion. But I can tell you one thing. The man can make a speech. The man can communicate articulately. And I don't believe he's a man that's going to go back on his word in regard to this. And I think the world knows it. So we shall see. I thank you guys for being here. I thank you for your patience tonight. Carl Elwell, Embassy Suites is a lot of steel and concrete, might be just blocking signal. Yeah, I promise you it'll be fixed. If I've got to be in the manager's office on Wednesday, it'll be here. Appreciate all of you guys very much. Thank you for sticking around tonight. And I really apologize that you guys know this is not how I stream. I like to do it with excellence. And Wednesday we'll have it with excellence, if not before. You guys be blessed. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for sticking with me, even when it's a little goofy. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon.